All right. Well, it is good. It's great to be back together again with a few people missing, which is sad. Maybe they'll watch the recording when they get back. But we're watching the first half of episode 8 of season 1. This is a milestone for us because season 1 has 8 episodes. So after next week, we will have finished season 1, and it will get us to that point where we then look at the next step and what we're going to be doing together. For you, if you're joining us by the recording, we are going to stop the recording in just a moment and let you watch this first half of episode 8, season 1 on your own, because we can't embed it in the video, or else YouTube is having a problem with that. So we are stopping right around the 30-minute mark. So it's almost exactly 1 hour for this program. So right at the 30-minute mark, just before everybody's gathering to head out, we're going to stop. So if you want to jump on YouTube, pretty much anywhere on YouTube, there's so many recordings of this, and just watch the first half hour of it, and we'll gather back together in just a minute. So good. We stopped right before the journey began, right as Matthew was coming out of his door, and that'll bring us into next week when this is episode 8 is completed in the journey, and that's where this actually started, isn't it? When we started the episode tonight with the sojourners landing and digging the well. You must have made the connection between the two, the well and the well. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to see this brought back together. You all know who she is?
Oh, no, I do not.
She is in the scripture, she is the Samaritan woman. Well, so that town is Samaria, the Samaritans. So that's got to be coming up. Yeah. And that's Jacob's well. So very cool. Well, what did you see? What stood out to you for tonight?
Romans are getting nervous.
Yeah.
Yep.
They don't like what's happening. They don't like what this new guy is doing to their order and discipline or whatever. And they aim to stop it.
Yeah, you notice something you may not have thought of before, that really the row wasn't being caused by Jesus at all. It's being caused by the rabbis.
Yeah.
You know, if they hadn't come and made a big stew about it, he would have just taught quietly in the corner, and everything would have been people would have gone in when Prater said that the caravan was blocked by this stampede of people leaving. Well, those are the people running away when the Romans showed up. So if the rabbis hadn't caused the Romans to come, then the Romans would have showed up and the people would have stampeded, and it would have been fine. So it's not really Jesus doing it, it's the reaction that they're giving. Just like it looks like Shmuel's chosen life profession now as a reactionary event.
He was familiar with the scripture in Daniel, but he didn't like Jesus being what Daniel was talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Well, like Nicodemus said, you become a politician.
Yeah.
And want power.
Yeah.
And Nicodemus he's terribly torn. You can just see it. He's torn in two.
Oh yeah.
And his wife said she likes the life they had.
Yeah.
She back to it.
The family, the table,
Things.
The things, yeah.
Yeah.
Power.
She seems to have a premonition that he is considering something, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's laying thick.
It seems like he's seeming a little weird to her, I guess.
Yeah.
As he's very affected by Jesus. He's got a lot of turmoil in him. They sure have filled in a lot of Nicodemus's story.
Yeah. They have. Yeah, I until they did this, I guess I had really never entertained the idea that Nicodemus wanted to go, or that Jesus maybe had asked him to go, and that was an option. I just never had that as an idea. I don't know about you.
No.
No.
I can imagine the turmoil was just horrific for him.
It would be
Yeah.
almost impossible for him to do it in his position.
Mhm. Without giving everything up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Simon still really doesn't like Matthew.
No, he has a real, and it's interesting for Simon, if you think about it, his dislike of Matthew is more visceral than scriptural. He doesn't, the rabbi, when he came and seemed to quote the scripture against Matthew and the sinners in the dinner, didn't feel quite real. I mean, it's the rule, but I like the when Jesus said, you're forgetting this quote, to go find out what this means, that God wants mercy and not sacrifices. That he's quoting the law at like a automaton. It's just a big stick to him, and there's no life in it. And Peter kind of has that same bent about Matthew. He hates him for who he is, but he's not seeing a person there.
Yeah.
He's just seeing the tax collector. There's that parallel of learning versus non-learning. I'm picking this up as we go. I hope you are. That it's really showing the people over and over again that have the option to learn and aren't, next to the ones that have the option and have decided to learn. And it could be that where their starting point of the two is very similar. That even though they have different, like one's a Jew, one's a Roman, or one's a Jew and one's a working man and one's a rabbi, their way they're coming at this problem is very different, and yet it's really the same. That the option to grow would have the same salvific effect on either side.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Simon or Peter would be the most, let's say, flawed
Yeah.
out of the disciples, and he's the one that's having the hardest time.
mhm.
The others seem to be accepting Matthew reasonably.
Yeah.
Or just maybe really tolerating him
Mhm.
Yeah,
at
but
the
Simon
moment.
and his crawl.
Sure did make a nice dinner though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a serious spread he had put out there. And
Well, they're
great.
really showing us what he's given up. What
Yeah,
he's gonna
Yeah.
give up. Yeah.
those grapes all by themselves were very expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive back then. They were not a casual item.
Mm.
Did you
Although
catch it?
I was gonna say Matthew's new to that fold. Maybe they're still trying to get used to him.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with what he was.
I would think that
Used to be.
like Mary would be, and it seems like she is very, and the other two people, I can't remember their names, the two the woman who was a companion of Mary before, the one that was telling the story where she was the one that went and got the rabbi, got
Right.
gosh, I can't remember her name, and her husband, that we're talking about, the Nicodemus when he came, and then she said he almost ran so fast out of the red quarter he tripped over
Yeah.
his robes.
Yeah.
They seem to be fine with Matthew. They're like, oh, you're a very handsome guy with,
Yeah.
behind those bars, you look really great.
Yeah.
Mary would also be accepting him completely because she knows where she was from and was saved.
That's true.
So
Yes.
Peter or Simon is really just caught up in his role. Remember that last or at the marriage feast of Cana? It was his role. You know, he was the protector and he was watching the back door and he was policing the crowd and he was, you know, his role is to be the enforcer kind of guy and he's going to live into that role. Remember
Gotcha.
Andrew said to him, you know, you don't know what you're doing. You should just, you know, be you. Don't be what you think you're supposed to be. Be who you really are. And I think Simon's wrestling with the fact that he doesn't know how to do that. You know,
Right now, he wants to be in charge,
Yeah.
not let anybody tell him what to do.
Well, you know, they have this conception of what the Messiah is supposed to be, what they think it's going to be, and right now, I think they're just following their training.
Yeah.
They want to usher it along.
It'll be. I'm looking forward to the transition of the eventual transition for Simon to finally figure out who he is and become something different. Because
Simon was being harassed for his taxes too.
yeah,
Probably from the Romans and maybe Matthew as well. So
Sure.
probably a little anger still about that.
Matthew was an extension of the Romans at that point. So
yeah,
he harbors that resentment.
Yeah.
and distrust. You know, how can Matthew just give this up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just a ploy?
But I think he'll come around, knowing how he was swayed. That's not a good word, but how he moved to Jesus. He's going to understand how Matthew did the same thing
Yeah,
in future episodes.
yeah. Be good. Did you catch the conversation that Nicodemus was having with his wife before, and in the very beginning when she was saying, "Wouldn't your grandmother be proud
Yeah.
if she could see you now?" They're reminiscing about the candlesticks and the vases and the stuff on the table,
The material things.
Yeah.
material things. And but in the midst of it, he had this recollection where he said, "I still remember what was above grandma's door, her bedroom door. I would imagine, I don't think it was her house door. I don't know, but I would think I got kind of the image. It was like an interior door." He said, "Adonai El Rio," which is the quote from Hagar in the book of Genesis, which is God. You remember Hagar? She was Sarah was barren, and Abram needed a son to carry on and carry on the family name and carry on the lineage. And they had a rule, they had a law that said if the wife cannot bear a child, then the husband can take a bondservant or a slave as a just for the purpose of having a child, and the child of that woman would immediately be brought into the family as if it was the wife's child, and that child would be the heir 100%. So I imagine at that point, I mean, I can't imagine not. I imagine at that point, probably whoever that unfortunate slave woman was would be moved on along. You know, they wouldn't want her around after that. Could be wrong, but in Genesis, the problem was that after Hagar became pregnant, Sarah was just not happy because she's really doing something that Sarah couldn't do. And this child was not going to be her child. And so she started treating Hagar really, really badly. In fact, the Jewish word that's used for it is chamas. And it is a word that means it's a very heavy connotation. It's not just treated badly, but almost to the level of treated inhumanly. So she was treating Hagar like not a human, less than human. So Hagar conspired to run away. She couldn't take it anymore, and she packed up and ran away. And God intervened and came to her and said, "No, you have to go back." You have to go back and serve your mistress and bring this child to term, and I will take care of the child. The child will not inherit, but the child will be somebody else, but don't worry, because I got your back. And when this happened, it was Hagar who said, Adonai El Roya, which is, you're the God who sees me. So this has come full circle when Jesus goes in and talks to Eden and says, I see you. And he said it already, and he's going to say it again and again through the series. So you can look out for that when he says, I see you. This is the God who sees of Hagar. The continuity that I talk about in the church, linking it back and back and back again, all the way to the very beginning before there was a Hebrew people, the wandering people. This was a personal relationship. And of course, this is also what's being interjected here, is that while when Eden says, Jesus said it's rough and it's hard, and she said, well, that's our people. And he laughs and he says, yes, it is. We get kind of hung up on the grouping. It's those people, the stiff-necked people. But we have to remember that those people are every person's choice. Just like Matthew's choice and Simon's choice and the praetor's choice and Nicodemus's choice, together all those people make a choice, and the majority of those people make a choice that gets labeled stiff-necked people. But those people are just a person timed many people or persons making a choice for themselves, personal choice. And then whatever is the influence on them to make that choice and to set out on that course is what brings us around in history to how things have happened and how things went and how things are going. We just got a heavy dose of herd mentality, didn't we? And we're still living in it right now with our political system. People who make choices without making choices. They just seem to, follow along. I'm deeply saddened and lamentful about people in our country right now just blindly following without inquiring, without learning, without growing. But look, it's history, right? This is what the Jewish people did for so long. They got somebody behind, got a leader that they liked, and they got things that they wanted, and then they just followed. And that was that. And then justify it through all kinds of stuff. We have people justifying it through ancient documents, right? Constitution. And we just had the rabbi justify his visions through ancient documents, right? The Pentateuch, the law, saying that it's just amazing how that serves me so very well in this particular moment when I need it so badly. So then you have Jesus coming along saying, okay, I heard what you just said, but now you need to go learn this. Not the people. They're not here. Those other rabbis, the ones that are looking at me and listening to every word I say, they're not here. I'm just telling you, you need to go and find out what this means, because we're talking about you here, your choice, not the mass of people, just you. And then your life can change, things can change. So we're going to come back to this. You are the God that sees me, over and over. Jesus looking larger than the moment, or pursuing Simon. Is everything okay? Yeah, it's fine. I'm just it's like, yeah, you can tell me. No, you can be honest with me. He doesn't let it go.
But he did say, you already know what I'm thinking.
Yes, he did. But the thing about us is that we don't always know what we're thinking. God knows what we're thinking, but we don't know what we're thinking. And
That's scary.
it is, this is the foundation of mirroring in therapy, where a therapist will talk to a person and mirrors back to them what they're saying. And so many times people go, I didn't say that. Yeah, you kind of did. I've got this, or I have this line of thought and reasoning that is all where I'm looking at it, it's just a straight line, and then somebody else explains it back to me, and it's like all over the map, like one of those follow, connect the dot things, and I just didn't see all this other stuff in there. So Jesus is constantly trying to refine the picture and bring it back to this personal learning, personal revelation, and then of course then next is the personal choice. So yeah. One other interesting thing was that she called him Jesus.
Yeah.
Didn't say rabbi or teacher or master, but just bleed it out, Jesus. So it seems like it kind of caught me when I saw it, because I thought it was bold. She's being very deferential. Everybody is kind of, right, a little bit deferential, and addressing him more by a title than by his name.
No one in the groups called him Jesus. They've all called him teacher or rabbi or
Right.
something like that. No, I've never heard anyone else call him Jesus.
Yeah, introduce him. This is Jesus of
Yeah.
Nazareth, but
But not right, not responding to him like that.
Yeah. So I think that's important in this whole story, because Jesus, of course, is the English translation of Jesus, which is the Greek translation of Yeshua, which is the Hebrew for the English translation Joshua. So Jesus is Joshua, right? Joshua. Let me do it again. Hebrew is Yahshua, which is Joshua in English. Okay. Yeshua in Hebrew is Jesus in Greek, which is Jesus in English. So Jesus is the Greek translation of the Hebrew. Joshua is the English translation of the Hebrew. So Joshua and Jesus is the same name. Jesus is just the Greek translation, and Joshua is the Hebrew translation.
The more you know.
Right? So why is that important? Because we all know that names mean things.
Yeah.
Right? So Joshua means God who sees, or the God who saves, rather. So when he walks in the room and she says, Jesus, I'm sure this isn't lost on the people who are making this. She's basically turning him and saying, God who saves. And the God who saves says, I see you.
So Hebrew, I got a little lost. Hebrew, Jesus in Hebrew is
Yeshua.
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 Right.
And Yeshua means God who saves.
Yes.
So when Mary named him that, she was naming him God who saves.
Yes.
She was told to.
He was told.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You take Yeshua in Hebrew and you turn it into English, it's Joshua. But if you take Yeshua in Hebrew and translate it into Greek, it's Jesus. Now, if you take that word and translate that into English, it's Jesus. So it's just.
It's a little off the subject, but Zachariah and Elizabeth were told to name John. Does that have a meaning that we
That
know
doesn't
of?
have a meaning. I can't remember though. I have to go back. But you know that it was weird when he did it because there's nobody in the family named John.
I know that everyone was surprised.
Right.
Yes.
It raised a scandal.
Yeah.
The John.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was getting to Jesus. I guess there weren't any Jesuses around.
No, but lots of Joshuas. Yeah.
but not,
or Yeshua or whoever.
Right.
I never would have thought about that.
So the question that people, that the scholars say is, well, they wouldn't have been calling him Jesus. They wouldn't have been calling him Joshua. The Hebrew.
Right, okay, yeah.
If the Greeks that met him would have called him Jesus, translated his name, but the Hebrews would have called him Joshua.
cool.
Kind of weird, huh? I don't ever think of Jesus as Joshua.
No,
And he always referred to himself so far as Son of Man.
Yes.
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone you know named Joshua, you now know the background of their name.
That's right.
Yes,
Yep.
Probably more than they know about their name.
Probably.
probably.
Yes. All right. I think we've reached our moment. Anybody have any parting wisdoms, pearls for us before we go?
Does anybody notice that the Romans are the only ones without accents in the show? They have strictly American accents.
That's a brilliant observation.
There's nothing to do with the story. I just noticed that the other week and I thought I'd bring it up. Everybody else has an accent or a fake accent or whatever. Romans, just Americans like us.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a commentary in there somewhere.
Well, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially this day and age.
Yeah. Very good observation.
Mhm.
That was nothing to do with anything. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Oh no, that was good. I think that was good. Right on track. All right. If you want to watch ahead before we get back together, that's cool. If not, then you'll discover it along with everyone else who doesn't as we get back to it. Next week, we'll finish up 8, which will be the end of season 1. So we'll carry on from there. Have a wonderful, fantastic night. Enjoy this evening. Hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, then on Sunday.
All right.
All right.
Do work on your
Hey, we
list.
Get to work on your list.
In your list, yeah. All right. Bye, Mom.